So I made it to Wind Cave National Park. Obviously did not do my research before I came here. Um, so apparently there are guided tours that if you're wanting to go into the cave, you have to do a guided tour. You can't just walk into the cave. The woman said that the cave is the most complex in the world. It's just huge and has all kinds of winding passageways. So you have to do a guided tour. And the tours last at least an hour long. Some of them are even longer. They have levels of the tours. So they do have like a handicap accessible tour that is a little bit cheaper, a little bit shorter time. And then it goes all the way up to like you're in the cave for a long time and you are like crawling through passageways, stuff like that. Which normally I would absolutely love to do that. But I am pressed for time because you have to do the tour and you can't leave the tour early either. So, and they do recommend before you start the tour, go to the restroom, which I'm really hoping that I don't have any issues when I'm in the tour needing to use the restroom, because that will be bad. So you have to pay for the tour, and on top of the fact that the tour lasts a certain amount of time, the tours start at specific times. It's not you just pay and then you just jump in. So I ended up getting the 1 hour tour, and right now it is 1:40 and the tour starts at 2. So I will be leaving the cave at 3. That's a little bit later than I wanted to be leaving, but it's better than the other ones because the other ones last either an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half or more, but they actually start at 3 o'clock. I'm not going to sit here and just wait out until 3 o'clock. So I was like, I will do the smaller tour and, get it over with faster. When you pay for it, they give you a receipt. They do say to hold on to it in case they need to refund it. Not sure why they would need to refund it, but okay. They also give you this card. So the tour I'm doing is the Garden of Eden tour. It tells you where to go in the building, in order to get to your tour. And then it gives you, it says read this before entering the cave. Required is footwear, stay with the group at all times, and stay on the concrete trail. Recommended long sleeves, sweatshirts, or jackets, as the cave temperature is 54 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 12 degrees Celsius, so it's going to be really cold in there. Comfortable shoes with slip-on, non-slip soles, and then use the restroom before the tour. Now, here's the kicker. The prohibited items. Of course, no food, candy, or gum. They don't want that in the cave. Water or other drinks, tobacco products, firearms, common sense stuff. But also backpacks, including baby back carriers, walking sticks, tripods, monopods, or selfie sticks, pets and comfort animals. So if you do have a service animal, you may not be able to bring it in. You might have to do the accessibility tour, or I would suggest just asking them if you have a service animal, if you can bring it in there. Of course, no touching the cave walls and no removing rocks or formations. So I'm thinking in my head, how am I going to film this? Because usually I have my camera here on a selfie stick. What I'm going to have to do is put the camera in my pocket, and as the tour is going, try to get it out, and hopefully they don't say anything about it. I mean, I don't see why I would, because it's not prohibited. You're allowed to have your phone in there, and you could take pictures and videos on your phone. But yeah, if my video ends up really shaky and all crazy like, at least you'll know why. Also, on my way into the park, came across some bison, which was kind of cool. Parked on the side of the road, along with everyone else. And there was one bison that was starting to come up on it was the opposite side of the road, but they were starting to like make their way toward my car, and I just decided to go ahead and go. I do not want a bison ramming this rental car. So if you're coming over here, there's a very good chance that you're going to see the bison. If you don't see it on the way in, there is like a loop through Wind Cave National Park, and you can drive that loop, and 9 times out of 10, you will end up seeing them that way. But I'm going to go in and use the restroom and go to my tour and hopefully try to pull off video on this. So I am leaving Wind Cave National Park. Went through the cave. So they take groups, I think it's roughly almost 30 people to a group, at least the group that I did, or the tour that I did, which is the hour-long tour. And you go in there, they do a little talk at first, then you go into this room. They take groups of 8 people through the elevator, and then you end up in an airlock room. Once everyone gets into the airlock room, then they open the door and you go into the cave. The cave is not that bad. Like, the tour that I did was not, it was considered not strenuous. And so it was easy to walk through. There were times you did kind of have to duck a little, and you do have to watch your step. Sometimes there were little areas where it was a little wet, but it's not necessarily a wet cave. A lot of times caves can be very, very wet, very damp. There was only 1 or 2 areas that it was really like that on the tour. And so they stop 3 times total during the tour. They wait till they get to like a big open room, and they get everyone into the big open room, and then they'll talk a little bit about the room, about the area, and then you go winding through the cave a little more, get to another big open area, do the same thing, talk about that area, and then there's another one at the very end, right before you go back into the airlock and then leave. It was really cool. Got a lot of videos and pictures, of course. There were some elderly people on the tour, and they seemed to be doing perfectly fine going through it. So if you're a little on the fence about it, I mean, it's not that bad. So I am leaving the park, or I've left the park, and I am heading towards Deadwood. I really wanted to go there for the historical factor of it. Hopefully, I honestly did not do any research on it. I didn't. I just didn't have time and did not do research on Deadwood itself to be able to find where things are. I would imagine the touristy things there, they're gonna have signs and stuff, and you'd be able to find it fairly easy. I know there's the cemetery there where Wild Bill Hickok is buried, and Jane, is it Cannery? Calamity Jane, as she is known, is buried there as well. So that is where I want to go next. Turn right onto Mount Rushmore Road, US 16, US 385, South Dakota 89. And then from Deadwood, I will continue going northwest into Wyoming and go to Devil's Tower. I'm hoping, it says right now that I'm gonna hit Deadwood around 5 o'clock. Right now the traffic is through kind of a busier area, like businesses and stuff, so I'm going 25 right now. But once I get out of this, busier area, then hopefully I can put the pedal to the metal and go a little faster, because I do want to make it to Devil's Tower before sunset. I think it'd be kind of cool to see
Turn left onto North
at
5th Street,
sunset.
US 16, US 385.
It's wanting me to turn left here, and there's construction. And I am paying attention to the road, just so you know. Every once in a while, I'll glance over. I'm just sitting here with my arm propped up, and every once in a while I'll glance over at the camera, but for the most part, like, I am paying full attention to the road. Yeah, I'm wanting to get to Devil's Tower before sunset, and that, because I think that'd be kind of cool to be able to see it and then see it. I don't know if they light it up. That'd be cool. I didn't do research on that. Devil's Tower at night, but it'd be cool
Continue
if they lit it
straight
up.
for 15 minutes to Railroad Avenue.
But we'll find out. But next stop is gonna be Deadwood. So I am at the Mount Moriah Cemetery in Deadwood. It's the first cemetery in Deadwood. It is where Wild Bill Hickok is buried, Calamity Jane is buried, and Potato Johnny is buried. And they do give you, when you come here, it's a $2 admission. They do give you a little brochure. It has a map in here that has all of the different, like, key people that you would want to see buried here. That way you can walk through and find it. Also has a lookout. I think I'm coming up on the lookout that gets a good view of Deadwood. And then they said there's an area where the bighorn sheep are at right now, so maybe I'll get to see some bighorn sheep. I've already seen a wide variety of wildlife on this trip, and I haven't even got to Yellowstone yet. But as you can see behind me, if you come here, it is a trek. I'm kind of out of breath, mostly because I'm out of shape. But it is a hill, or very hilly, to get up to Wild Bill Hickok's grave. There are steps, so you wouldn't be able to get up there and access it if you're in a wheelchair. But I'm gonna swing the camera around and look at this stunning view. I mean, just imagine being here before everything. I'm sure down in this valley was where the original buildings were, but this is just a stunning view. Okay, so apparently I'm really stupid. When he was talking about this is where the bighorn sheep are. Now, I was imagining the bighorn sheep are like maybe chilling on the side of the mountain or something. Nope, nope, look at this. They are chilling right there. I am probably about maybe 60 feet away from these bighorn sheep. And I'm going to keep my distance because the last thing I need is for one of them to come charging at me and hit me. Yeah, not gonna do that. But if you want to see wild bighorn sheep, then come to Mount Moriah Cemetery and you'll get to see them. Okay, it is that time. I am standing on the side of the road again, and I'm at Wyoming. Yes, that is 3 states out of the 4 down. I have 1 more to go, which is Utah, but as soon as I pass this sign, I will be in Wyoming. Finally. So I made it over to Devil's Tower behind me. It was a little bit of a drive. Now, most of the drive on the way here was freeway or highway, and I think the speed limit was like 80 miles an hour. And then you turn off onto some smaller roads, and then smaller roads, then smaller roads. Along the way, there was a fence. A lot of people were stopped. I'm moving this because it looks like a little hat on my head. Anyway, no, on the side of the road, it was a fenced-in area that had some longhorn steer and some bison. I'm assuming they're bison. I don't know the difference between buffalo and bison. I don't. To me, they look the same, but I guess it's bison. They kind of look like the same thing that they had at the last park I went to. I've been to so many already, I'm forgetting. But I got over here, and you can get kind of close. The road here kind of goes down, and then you can get pretty close to the base of the tower. There is a visitor center here, but unfortunately it closes at 6, or at least today it did, and so it was already closed. I'm like, great, because I was wanting to go in there and get souvenirs and stuff. So I'm hoping that when I leave here, maybe there's a nearby town that will have some souvenirs that I could get. But I have to be super over the top careful leaving here, because once I got into the park area or close to the park, I got pulled over by a park ranger. He clocked me doing 37 in a 25. I was only doing 12 over the speed limit. Now, for those of you in the United States who have driven, you know going 12 miles over the speed limit is not that big of a deal. It really isn't. And if you are in California, you could probably go 20 or more and won't get pulled over. So I was really shocked that not only did he pull me over, he was epically angry. I'm talking, he was acting as if I had been driving 100 miles an hour. I was very calm, respectful. To be honest, I did not see him. All I saw was an SUV pull up behind me pretty fast and then start tailgating me, which really made me speed up more. Now, granted, I'll take ownership. I've been speeding this whole trip. I totally get it. But if someone's tailgating me, I want to kind of get out of their way. So I feel like I was probably driving less. And then once he got behind me, I sped up. But he asked for, of course, my driver's license, my insurance, and proof of registration. Well, of course, I have my insurance, I have my license, but I was like, the registration, and I was thinking maybe it's in the glove compartment box because it's a rental car. And he goes, is it a rental car? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm not from here. But he's like, that's fine, just license and insurance. But he let me off with a warning. But if you come up here, just know that and I was talking to some people that were standing around the visitor center, and they said that they noticed the same thing, that there was a different park ranger that pulled out and pulled over someone and was tailgating them as well. So just be mindful of that if you come up here to Devil's Tower. I am in my hotel room for the night. Again, I'm very tired. I'm not as tired as I was last night, which is a very good thing, but I am still very tired. So when I started to leave Devil's Tower, as you're leaving the gate, so, okay, there is a park ranger, stand, to get in and out of the Devil's Tower Park area. The stand said to pay when you exit. I was like, okay. So when I went to exit, there were some motorcycles, excuse me, and a car in front of me. And I noticed they stopped at the thing for a brief second and then they drove on. So when I got up to the window was closed, and it said basically like, if you have the park pass, then you don't have to worry about anything. But then it didn't really say like how to pay. I don't know. That's really strange. But I also think it's very strange that the visitor center closed at 6, because usually visitor centers stay open fairly late. But as soon as you pass the little gate, the little ranger stand, there is a KOA site right there, which is where people can camp. They can bring in their RVs and camp and stay there for however long. And they had a store there and a cafe. I didn't go into the cafe, but I went into the store. The store had tons of souvenirs. I talked to, if I can remember their names, Trish and Tracy. I knew it was TNT. We joked about that. I talked with them for a good bit. I don't know what's up with my throat. Sorry. So I talked with them a good bit. Trish was not from Wyoming. She's been there for a few months or so, I believe she said. But Tracy, I guess, was born and raised there. So I kind of was talking to Tracy, telling her about my trip, and I was thinking in my head, I need to find a place to stay tonight. I was going to try to push it and make it to Cody, but I knew that Cody, Wyoming was going to be a drive. It's pretty far across the state. So I asked her about it, and she suggested that I stay in Gillette, Wyoming, because she said once you kind of clear that immediate area where Devil's Tower is, she's like, it is flat all the way across the state and a whole lot of nothing until you get to Yellowstone. So she suggested that I stay in Gillette. And as I was leaving, that area, I was driving, I was like, you know what? I'm going to check on hotels. Just go ahead and make sure that I can get a hotel. And so I pulled over on the side of the road and I found the hotel, booked it. Luckily, again, the prices had dropped. Now, I did check Marriott first, and their prices were still pretty high. But then I checked Hilton, and their price had dropped. So if you're going to do a road trip and you kind of like this, where you don't know if you're going to be in a certain area at a certain time, sometimes it's better to just book right before you get there, because the prices can drop. So Gillette is about an hour away from Devil's Tower. So I drove over here, got checked in. I can't remember the guy's name downstairs. Actually, he may not have even told me. He was so nice, so nice. He gave me 2 bottles of water for free, which is great because water is so expensive when you have to buy individual bottles. And then I asked him for suggestions for food because I hadn't ate dinner. And it was getting late. It was already, by the time I got to the hotel, it was 9:15. And a lot of times restaurants close at 10. So he suggested this restaurant called Albertano's. And it's about 2 miles away from this hotel, but it's mostly freeway. I went there, and Albertano's is it's pretty much built into a gas station. It's like a Shell gas station. And they're open 24 hours, and I go in there. Their food is so good, so good. Ended up getting a carne asada taco and a shrimp taco and a churro. I have yet to eat the churro, but if it's anything like the tacos, it is good. And then now I'm back here at the hotel. I do want to mention that when I came off of the highway to the hotel, there were a couple of cops. Then when I was leaving the Mexican food place, Albertano's, there was a cop, pulled somebody over. So when I got back here, I talked to the guy at the front desk, and I was like, what is up with all of the cops? Because Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, no problem with police at all. I got pulled over in Devil's Tower for going 37 and a 25, and the guy's like pissed off and angry at me, gave me a warning. And then between Devil's Tower and here in Gillette, there is a town called, and it's a tiny, tiny town called Moorcroft. The speed limit, and I knew immediately this is a speed trap. The speed limit goes from 80 down to 30. No, I take that back. It goes from 65 down to 30 within like a mile. So you have to start hitting the brakes right away. And once, like where the 30 mile per hour sign is, the cop was sitting right behind it. So, and I could see him. And so I had to really hit the brakes to slow down in that short of a time period. And the entire town is 30 miles an hour. So I asked him about it, and he said that yes, the police presence in Wyoming is very heavy. He said he was very surprised that I only got a warning, because he said the police usually target out of state plates on license, the license plate on the car. If you are from out of state, they target you because they know you're not going to come back to Wyoming and pay for the ticket. So the entire time I'm going to have to drive through all of Wyoming, I'm going to have to really watch my speed. He did mention that there is a town on my way to Yellowstone called Buffalo, where it's another heavy speed trap, and that is where it goes from 80 to 30, I believe he said, in a 2 mile span. And they sit there and they will give you a ticket. So I'm gonna have to really watch my speed and stay under the speed limit the entire time I'm in Wyoming, because apparently that is their thing. So if you're coming to Wyoming, just know, stay well below the speed limit or they will pull you over. I am going to enjoy my churro. I am going to shoot a review video for this hotel. I didn't mention, the hotel is home to the number 2 Suites by Hilton. And it's an extended stay kind of setup, but if you want to know when that video comes out, then subscribe to the channel. And as far as tomorrow goes, my plan is, depending on how well I sleep tonight and what time I end up getting in the bed, I might sleep in tomorrow, but I might not. I'm kind of on the fence about it because I do have to drive slowly across the whole state to Yellowstone. There are places to stay near Yellowstone, but they can be pricey. The closest cities near Yellowstone is Jackson, I believe, is below, and it's near Grand Teton, and I don't want to go below because I'm going to be going there below after I go to Yellowstone. Or there's Cody, which I believe Cody is about an hour out of Yellowstone. And I think it's going to take like 5 hours or 4 or 5 hours to get to Cody. So it's like, do I get to Cody and just call it a day? Or do I get to Cody, drop off my luggage and stuff, and then try to go into Yellowstone a little bit? Or I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I feel like even though my goal is to go all the way through Yellowstone in one full day, I don't think that's going to be realistic. I think like I should at least go partially into Yellowstone. But I'm going to kind of wing tomorrow and see kind of how it plays out. But I will bring all of you with me, of course. I will say this, one thing I'm sad about. You know how I mentioned in yesterday's video that I collect the little mini Lego? Well, even though I was out at Mount Rushmore and they had the little mini Lego for Devil's Tower, I didn't buy it because I didn't want to jinx anything. And then I get to Devil's Tower and their visitor center is closed, so I can't buy any of their souvenirs, and so I didn't get to buy it. I'm going to try to look online and see if I can find it online, because I really wanted to get that. But anyways, I did get other souvenirs. I got a t-shirt that is the softest material. I don't know what it's made out of, but it is the softest material I have ever felt, ever. I got a shot glass, ornament, and a sticker. So I am good on that. But I'm going to shoot the video for this hotel, and then I'm going to call it a night. And I will see everyone tomorrow for day 3 of the trip. Bye.